Hi, I am Cindy from Mexico. I am an international student studying theater arts and performance, and I'm super happy to be here. Thank you very much for joining us. My pronouns are she, her.
Tima?
Hi, I'm Tima. I'm off model route, so between semester 5 and 6 of the Human Resources program. My pronouns are she and her, and I am also running for CCSAI President.
Partik?
Hello everyone, my name is Pratik Verma and I'm studying Architectural Technology program at Morningside campus and I'm running for the president's position. My pronouns are he and him.
Mark?
Hey everyone, my name is Mark Tabani. My pronouns are he, him. What am I supposed to say?
What position are you running for?
Oh, VP of Ashton. Sorry about that.
And then Jagtar?
Hello everyone, this is Jagtar Singh and I'm pursuing engineering from Centennial College. I'm running for the post of Vice President from our Downsview campus. So my pronouns are he and him. Happy to be here today.
Awesome. Thank you all for introducing yourself. So that was the order we'll be going in as well for this first section of the general questions. And how we'll do it is we will do that order up and down. And so in the second question, we'll start the opposite order. So you'll have equal amounts of time to think about questions and you won't always be first or last. Cool. All right. So our first question, and let me just get my timer ready here. So Cindy, you'll start. Why are you running in this election?
I'm running in this election because when COVID started, I was looking at many different difficulties that as an international student we were facing. And I found out about different things that would be able to be useful for us as international students. And I came on to one of the full board meetings. Was my first time knowing that there was a board in CCSAI. And then I wanted to come forward and say something, hey, we can do this to make things better for students. And then I saw that one of the board members was there and saying the same exact concerns that I was having and that I've been hearing other students having. And so I was like, okay, so these are people that really work for the interests of students, and I felt really inspired about that, and I felt like maybe someday I will be able to speak up as well. So I believe that I can really bring forward some great ideas to make great changes happen for our student community.
Awesome. Thank you. Tima.
Hi. So CCSAI is mostly really good at advocating at the level with the Centennial College for students. But I think that as the first student association in Ontario, we have a bigger responsibility than that. And we also, as still one of the largest Centennial College being one of the largest in Ontario, and our student association as well. So I think that we have the potential as well to have that louder voice. I want to bring everything I've learned throughout my different experiences at Centennial and on the board to be able to take CCSAI further into provincial advocacy and in federal advocacy.
Thank you. Partik?
So the reason why I'm running for this position is to improve the student engagement and create a better relationship with the college. So right now the student engagement which we get is pretty low and we need to work on that. And with my 2 years experience at CCSAI and Centennial, I have great understanding of the policies and procedures. So I want to use these skills to help our community to grow together. And the pandemic has really affected the student life in the past 2 years. And I want to create a welcoming space for our students so that they feel safe while coming back to the college.
Awesome. Mark?
I'm going to keep it very short and simple. I feel like there was not enough being done by the previous VP at Ashton. I think the students deserve more, and I'm here to change that.
And Jagtar?
Personally, the reason why I'm running for the post of vice president from our Downsview campus is, first of all, I believe the engagement of the student CCSAI is really, very low. And we can make it work that they engage, they should be, and they could be a part of the clubs that CCSAI is providing. And moreover, I believe I can help out to the other international students, those who are part of our Centennial family. So my reason for running for the post will be the same, in order for making the wonderful time of the students here in Centennial College. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so then we'll move on to our second question. So what experiences do you bring that will help you in your role as president or vice president? And we will start with Jagtar.
Yes, first of all, being an international student, I know the struggles in students go through, especially because coming from your native country to a foreign land where you do not know anyone, you are not with your friends, we are far from your family. So there is a homesickness a student faces. So I believe I can bring forth my experience as an international student to CCSAI, and we can work on engaging more students so that they feel welcome, warmed, embraced in the Centennial College, and especially in country like Canada. That's all.
Mark?
Through my experiences, I have 9+ years in the transportation industry. I've worked for the federal government, places like Tesla, GM. So I'm going to take what I learned at VIA. So all the bureaucratic policies and stuff that needs to be done, I'm going to take some transferable skills from there. And then if I need to be autocratic, I'll take all the skills that I learned at Tesla just to get things done fast and efficiently from there, and try to combine the two and get the most done for the students.
Partik?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier as well, I have 2 years experience as the CCSAI Vice President from Morningside campus. And throughout my journey, I made many connections within the college and CCSAI and gained many various skills joining our committees, trainings, and volunteering experience. So I think that these skills and experiences will help me in this position.
And Tima?
I've been involved with the Centennial community since 2017, before I was a student as a volunteer. And since then, I've been a student, I've been an employee in 2 different departments at Centennial, and now for 1 year being a board member with CCSAI. I think all of that allowed me to have a really deep understanding on how CCSAI works, how our policies work, and how Centennial College works. And then other than CCSAI and Centennial College, over the last year with the board, I've also had the opportunity to talk with elected officials from the provincial area, from provincial level and the federal level, and that gives me experience in advocating at those 2 levels. I think all of that is going to be really important in what visions we have for CCSAI going forward.
And Cindy?
Yes, thank you. I have more than 10 years of experience growing, creating, and leading organizations and institutions based on culture, arts, and education. And that's what we do here at CCSAI. I also have lots of experience working for the government in other countries, for example, Mexico. And now I bring this experience here. I'm also an international student, and I know about the struggles that we face, the difficulties that we have, and I have these very close to my heart, and I want to be there for you. I'm also very good with people. I really love connecting to people from different countries. So this is like something I really love doing here in CCSA. Just being able to connect to students, learn about their experiences, their needs, and advocating for them. I was also able to advocate for many different forms, like the TTC full board meeting, where I asked to have lower TTC fares for our post-secondary students. So yes, I believe that these are the experiences that I can bring.
Thank you. So for our third question, we'll go in the order of the first question. So what are your main goals if elected? Cindy?
Yes, I would love to decentralize essential services like the food bank and take it to the different campuses so that it is more accessible for our students. I believe that as well, just looking after safety of housing is something really important. I've heard many difficulties of students that come from different countries and don't know where to start, and they're like, okay, landlord and not finding the best roomie. So I want to create a platform for students that is reliable within CCSAI to find their best roomie candidate, and finding really good and safe spaces for housing that are reliable and safe for them. I would also like to promote the idea of unity and more multiculturalism here at CCSAI, and more multicultural representation, and have minorities represented here at the board of directors and give them more leadership roles at CCSAI.
Tima?
I have a few goals that are connected to Centennial and CCSAI and some that are connected outside. At CCSAI, we have really good relationships with some departments at Centennial, like the experience in the student success department. But in other departments, we don't really have that relationship, and there is a space for that relationship, and it brings a lot of potential. So like the aerospace innovation or the strategic initiative and external relationships, those departments at Centennial have a lot of resources that can and here at CCSAI, we have the student perspective. Putting those two together could bring a lot of very important advocacy and bridge the gap that exists between students' needs and the services that are being offered to students. And if I still have time, I want to also share the goals that I have externally, which would be to advocate on the provincial level and the federal level. Something like the really high international student fees we have, that's not a Centennial issue. That's an issue at the Ontario government level, or like the immigration issue we have with students getting denied their visas, that's at the federal level. So I want to advocate on all of those.
Thank you. That's your time. Partik?
For my future goal, the top thing which is on my agenda is to welcome back all the students post-pandemic and how the college will look like for our students. And I want to create an inclusive environment at our college, both in terms of infrastructure and the policies which we have at our college and within CCSAI as well. And I want to raise awareness about issues like mental health, sustainability, and food options, which we have at our college. Another very important thing which I have is to create more job opportunities for our students so that they have part-time job opportunities within the college, so that they get more exposure in terms of internship as well. So, and within CCSI, we can collaborate with the Centennial College Library and fund for peer tutoring program. And this will help our students to get more job opportunities within the college.
Thank you. Mark?
I have 3 things that I want to do. Bring back the car show, see if we can do Friday barbecues, bring some of that shop culture to Centennial College, and most importantly, money. Put money back in students' pockets. Just like how you have car insurance, they have partial refunds of premiums right now because of COVID. Everyone got a partial refund back. I want to do that and see if I can change some bylaws or some rules that in times like this, times of COVID, we give back the students some money.
Thank you. Jagtar?
Personally, the thing that I have felt is the number of facilities that CCSA have in the Progress campus. I feel in other campuses, the facilities are a little less. For example, being from the Downsview campus, there is no any single cafeteria in our campus. We do not have any proper dedicated library, no engagement for students. So I will be more focused on bringing the facilities the CCSAI is providing to the other campuses as well, Ashton, SAC, Downsview. So my main agenda will be, besides from advocating the students' voice, my agenda will be bringing the facilities to the other campuses. Those are recently opened, like Downsview, etc.
Thank you. Our next question. So we'll start with Jagtar again. So what would you do to increase awareness about the CCSAI among the general student population?
Being a semester 2 student, to be honest, I have to aware myself about CCSAI. Means I wasn't aware before. But one thing we can do is we can aware the faculty to talk about the CCSAI, the clubs that CCI is providing and organizing. The faculty can discuss some of the things to this Mr. One student, those who are just newcomers, those who are not aware about the facilities of Centennial College is providing. So this one thing can be done. And moreover, I will recommend CCSAI can also increase their engagement on other social platforms as well. Like there is a little less engagement on Twitter, then we can go on more social media platforms as well.
Thank you. Mark?
Before I knew about this VP role, to be honest, I didn't even know what the CCSAI was. So now I already have a plan in place. I'm actively reaching out to other schools within Ashton, the health studies, community services, stuff like that. Trying to reach out to them, see what they need, listen to their concerns, and try to see if I can do something for them. So I'm already have a plan in place and I'm already acting on it.
Pratik?
Yeah, so I believe to increase the engagement with students, we need to strengthen our relationship with the college, and we need more collaborative events with different departments of college. So we reach out to a different like a different population of students, so that we cover all of them. And another thing is that if we are hiring more students as part-time positions, so we can make a new position uh, to engage with students and to promote CCSAI. So currently the board members, they do class visits. So if we get more part-time students to collaborate with us, and they can be like our street teams, and they can handle these social media platforms, and make like we can have our engagement of on different platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and we can have students so they can promote CCSI.
Thank you. Tima?
There's so many great ideas that are already shared. So first, I want to say that this year CCSAI has done a lot, and from our last survey and from the last updates we got, we know that CCSAI engagement has increased. So the things that we're doing that have worked, we need to continue them. And in addition to add more initiatives that we haven't been doing. So an example of the types of collaboration we can have with Centennial College, there is a department called Center of Entrepreneurship. They already have students who are engaged in great ideas. We have a fund called Transform the Future, and we're not getting proposals for this fund. By creating those types of collaborations where we are able to provide something and a department is also able to provide something, would be able to reach students based on the needs or interests they have, connecting those to the resources that we can provide.
Thank you. And Cindy?
Yes, first of all, if elected president, I would be and working from there, being close to students. I believe that having a presence close to the students can build confidence and trust in our association and can help us let them know that we are here for them and what we do. So just being close to them. And then I would work along with all the leaders that we have at CCSAI and the leaders that we have at Centennial College, like Toastmasters, Enactus, and spaces where leadership is really important and students are looking for this opportunity. So why not bringing them together, all the leaders from Centennial College, all the leaders of CCSAI, put them together, make them network, and then expand from there and word to mouth. Doing it like being close, being a really strong group of people that are close to students, going to classes, of course, and then continuing doing the great work that we are also doing with our events and engagement. And obviously now that we are hopefully going back in person a little bit more, we'll be able to have more collaborative events.
It's your time. Thank you. All right, to our next question. So what can be done to make Centennial College a more inclusive and welcoming space for new students? And we'll start with Cindy.
Yes, definitely. I think policy work is super important here. Making the policies have less barriers in they are already difficult to understand. And for our student leaders, they are difficult to understand. And the processes have a lot of barriers that we don't know how to navigate. And so I think educating our students and making the information more accessible would be very important. And also having representatives with minority groups here, an indigenous representative or a black representative that can really help us see the gaps that we don't see in our policies and in our services and in our systems that are there. And how are we going to be able to see them if we don't know the difficulties that our communities face? So having a really good lens on what are the things that we could do better would be a good option to start.
Tima?
So students who are coming into Centennial oftentimes are already facing a lot of barriers and already have overcome those barriers to enter into Centennial. So our goal now is in their first semesters to make sure that they're not continuing to face those barriers. And I think one way to do that would be to connect with the resources that have helped students in their path to Centennial. So for example, for Indigenous youth, they might have already been connected to some community organizations that's supporting them in coming to post-secondary or coming to Centennial. So to connect with those institutes and see what has worked for them, and if we can continue providing those supports specifically to students who do need them. Or for example, the services that we have for students who are on special education programs, to make sure that we can continue those supports for them. And for international students who are coming and starting their first semester here, we have advocates, but our advocates are specifically advertised as being someone who helps with grade appeals. And a lot of students don't know that they can go to student advocates for all sorts of other issues as well. So to advertise that more with students.
Thank you. That's your time. Pratik?
Can you repeat the question, Jeremy?
Yes. Let me just pause for a second. So the question was, what can be done to make Centennial College a more inclusive and welcoming space for new students?
Yeah, so I think, as I mentioned, we need to create a more inclusive environment, both in terms of infrastructures as well as the policies. So to touch upon the infrastructure, like currently, when we look into our campuses, in washrooms, we only have toilet papers, and but we have students from all around the world. So in some part of the world, they don't use toilet papers, and like that can be a barrier to speak on that behalf. So in terms of infrastructure, we need to change these barriers. And for the policy work, like we have students who are shy, so they don't come up, and they don't use the services that we have. We have bursary scholarship, but most of the students, they are not aware about these services which we have, and we need to break these barriers so that they are aware of these services that we have and use them.
It's your time. Thank you. Okay. Mark?
Truthfully, I have no idea, but that's what I'm here for. I'm going to find out. I'm going to reach out to the students and ask them, see what they want. Like a couple of the students I was mentoring, they let me know. They're like, there's no social events here. So I said, what better social event than a car show? Engage with the students, show them what the car culture here is here over in Toronto, and then show them the ropes pretty much. So I had to reach out to them first and ask them, because I honestly don't know. I have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. I got to listen more first.
And Chagtar?
Personally, what I feel is, in order to make CCI more welcoming, it is already doing a lot. It is welcoming for the students. So what we can do is to make more engagement of the students. Like number of students are engaging with the CCSAI. More the number of students are a part of our clubs. So with that, by increasing the volume of students in CCSI, so they can make more friends here and they can hang out together, they can do different things together. So by bringing in more students, we can make it more welcoming and more environment for the students.
Thank you. And we have one more general question before we move to the different sections. So Jagtar, you will start again. So what experience do you have in advocacy?
Personally, the reason being I am here to be the part of CCSAI is to gain experience in advocacy and volunteering experience. So this is, to be honest, this is my going to be first instance for advocacy.
Thank you. Mark?
That's literally my personality type. Alongside with my diesel diploma, I'm taking inclusive leadership practices, the certificate program. And in that program, I found out I'm one of the rarest personality types, and it's an advocate personality type. Sometimes I can be a little bit outspoken, so I'm going to use that to my advantage. I'm just going to, wherever I need to speak to whoever, send emails, phone calls, whatever needs to be done. It's all for the students.
Thank you. Partik?
Yeah, okay. Can you please repeat the question? I was
Yes.
reading.
No worries. So the question was, what experience do you have in advocacy?
So throughout my role at CCSA in the past 2 years, we have advocated on a lot of issues. And in my first year, we decided to do a project transform, which is to change the whole scenario which we have at CCSAI. We are working on our key pillars, which is advocacy, and like we have many different pillars which will focus on advocacy, activism, and governance. So just to focus on these aspects, we will create a better inclusive environment for our students, and this will help our students to be more engaged within the college community so that they feel more welcomed at our Centennial College.
Thank you. Tima?
So over the last year, I've been engaged in advocacy at the Centennial level, working with the department managers or working with the dean of students to advocate on the issues that are local to our college. But I've also advocated on the provincial level, and very recently, actually last week, with the Canadian Alliance of Student Associations, which is a federal group of universities and colleges. They were having their advocacy week last week, and I had the opportunity to meet with a lot of federal elected representatives and appointed senators to talk about the issues that students face, issues that are important in changing at the federal level.
Thank you. And Cindy?
Yes, in my story in Mexico, I have lots of experience advocating for these different issues. Like I created, along with a few friends, the first feminist movement in my island. And from there, a lot of different movements have also stemmed. So I am very passionate about that, and also advocating for the people that don't have access to things. So here in Canada, I've also advocated in school for example, this semester we had the deferral extension date and the registration date extended for students that were having difficulties not having their visa processed on time for school. So we managed and accomplished to do that. That was important. I've also been advocating for the high prices in international students' tuition fees, and I've taken this issue to our president CEO, Dr. Craig Stevenson.
That's your time. All right, thank you all so much for the answering our questions in the general section. We will now move to the VP phase. So we'll have a few questions. Due to the fact that the VP candidates are both acclaimed, we will have fewer questions for the VPs than the presidents. But we will also be able to ask the VP candidates some more questions afterwards in the viewer Q&A. So if you have questions for the vice president candidates, feel free to leave those in the Q&A. We'll get to those eventually at the end. So I did another random draw for this. So we'll start with Jagtar, and then we'll just flip the order we do each question since there's only two of you. So for our first question, what do you think is currently lacking in lacking at Downsview/Ashton B campus, and what would you do to fix it? So for you, Jagtar, that would be for Downsview, and then for you, Mark, afterwards, that'll be Ashton B.
Problem that I have also faced being an aerospace student is that, first of all, there is no cafeteria. So there are only vending machines, but the food there is not updated as often. So first of all, there is no any cafeteria in our campus. Second thing, there is no any dedicated library for us. So library is also missing. There is no any proper playful activities in the campus. We do have only one pool table in our campus, and that is always occupied by two students, different students. So that's the reason we can, with the help of CCSAI, we can introduce a cafeteria, library, and more of the playful activities for students to engage with the other students and to recreate themselves. That's all.
Thank you. And Mark?
Sorry, I was reading the chat box. Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, no worries. The question was, what do you think is currently lacking at Ashton B campus, and what would you do to fix it?
Engagement. At Ashton B, there's a lot of different model routes. So some guys come for the block program, which means they're not really there all the time. They're working in a shop. But I still want to engage with those students as well. It's majority males, but there's females at the school as well. So I want to like treat the boys to something, see if we have the barbecue, like especially the barbecues, because to me, I used to work with Italian people, and every Friday we have a nice barbecue or some kind of food, pasta, whatever it is. I want to treat these guys to the same kind of culture I had the experience of having.
Thank you. So Mark, we'll start with you for this next question. So how do you make sure the voices of your students or the students at your campus will be heard by the rest of the board?
I'm going to steal Nike's slogan. Just do it. I have to go out there, reach out to them, speak to them, ask them, be like, hey, what do you guys need? Because I can't read minds. I have to see what they want. Maybe they want 2-ply toilet paper, or they want, I don't know, fancy filtered drinking water. I have to go out there and ask them before I take these things to the CCSAI or the staff at Centennial, because I really don't know. I have to go out and reach out to them. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm reaching out to Krista at the School of Community Studies or something. So it's outside of the School of Transportation. I'm just trying to get everyone, listen to everyone, see what they want.
Check, sir.
I also completely agree with Mark. We, being the VPs, voice of students, we have to reach out to the students, what problem they are facing. Because it could be possible the problems that other students are facing might not be faced by us. So that's the reason we'll just reach out to the student. And this is the responsibility of a VP only, because I consider VP, the board of directors, as a link between students and the college. This is wholly solely our responsibility to connect students with the college and consider that their voice is also heard. So this thing we can do as well.
Thank you. For our third question, we'll start with Jagtar. What makes your campus unique compared to other Centennial campuses?
The Bombardier Center of Aerospace and Aviation of Centennial College is the most fascinated campus I have ever seen. The reason being, we do have Airjet, Johnson helicopters in our campus. We do have around 4 to 5 helicopters, big Robinson helicopters. We do have a jet standing in the hangar. We do have 2 hangars, and there are big propeller engines, jet engines in our labs. And the view scenario of our Downsview campus is amazing. So that's the reason the students, those who are really very fascinated about their industry, they feel so welcomed in the campus. This scenario makes it whole very unique rather than the other campuses of Centennial College.
Thank you. And Mark?
I see the Ashton B campus as mainly towards, for me, it's mainly like a trades campus. So we have all the facilities, like all the shops. They're pretty clean shops. We have the welding lab. We have a whole bunch of stuff that's available to the students. So they'll have actually hands-on experience before they get out and actually go to a shop and they know what to expect. Besides that too, it's a unique design, and we have the old airplane hangar. I think they used to use it for Jack Tar's program, but now it's converted. There's like TTC buses, and besides that, we have a whole bunch of new computers all across the school. It could use a little bit of improvement. Some places in the hallways are kind of dark. I don't like that. I want it to be more bright and vibrant, but that's something more down the line, not now.
Thank you. Our next question will be, how will you make sure to listen to, or how will you keep in mind people in programs outside of your own at the campus you're representing? And we'll start with Mark.
Yeah, I mentioned that before. So that's exactly what I'm trying to do right now. I'm reaching out to different programs other than mine, because I know it's mainly I deal with all the transportation boys. So I want to see what the other students in the other programs are doing. I have no idea what they're doing. So I'm pretty much just trying actively right now, trying to reach out to them.
Jagtar?
I have many connections with other programs as well. Like I do have my very good friend Caroline, who was ex-VP of CCSAI. So I do have my other friends as well in aircraft maintenance program. So being the connect that I have, I can listen to their problems as well. So I'll make sure the voices of the students from other programs are also heard. I'm not solely focused on my own course students and the problems that they are facing. So that could be done.
Thank you. And then this will be our last question for the VP candidates for now, for the Q&A later. What is your strongest leadership quality, and what is an area you seek to grow as a VP? Like, what is an area for personal growth that you are hoping to address? And we'll start with you.
In the past, I do have many of my leadership responsibilities in my high school. For example, I was head boy of my school, the vice captain of the student advisory council, and other positions as well. So with being a part of CCSAI, I want to work on my communication skills and my leadership skills, because I feel that there is no any bar of the skills. You can always amass as much skills as you want. So that's a reason I want to focus on my leadership skills and my communication skills.
Thank you. And then Mark?
For me, I think it's the values that I have and the way I was brought up. Like when I see wrong, like I can't just stand by and do nothing about it. So I'm actively advocating for the students. Even before this whole, I even knew what the CCSAI was. I was already being an advocate for the student. One of my weakest ones right now is actually I'm a bit abrasive. So I'm actively working on that within the inclusive leadership practices certificate program to try to knock off those edges, if you will, then.
Thank you. So now we will go back to our presidential candidates. I just confirm that you're all here. Okay, looks like you're all here. Amazing. So our random order for this will go Tima, Cindy, Partik. So we'll start with Tima. And the first question is, what are some valuable things you learned as a VP that will help you as president?
I think one thing I learned is that I will keep learning, and that the more I learn, the more I will feel like there is more to learn. I had the opportunity to learn a lot about how the Centennial system works and how government works and how advocacy works, but I feel that there is still a lot more I can learn. And I think the second thing I learned is it's very taxing sometimes to feel responsible for students and recognize that sometimes advocacy takes a long time. And there might be a student you want to help, but you won't be able to change policy or won't be able to change systems in time to support that student or in time to make a change for that student. And being able to sustain yourself in this role, it requires being patient, but it also requires being resilient and understanding that that even if a student at this time hasn't been helped, if the ball has, if you've pushed the ball and if you've started making the changes, then there will be students down the line who will no longer have that barrier or who will be supported. So I think, so just resilience and knowing that there's lots more to learn.
Thank you so much. That's your time. So Cindy?
Yes, something very important that I've learned is that there are many people working to make changes happen. Sometimes it may seem that things are are difficult and that things are not going to change, but I truly believe, and I, like my colleagues here, are the real, I lost the word, but the proof, are the proof that we do have people that are compassionate and that care about, in this case, our students. So that's something that is very enlightening for me, to realize that there are spaces where the change is being talked about, and the change to be more inclusive and to help people is happening. So that just gives me hope that even when we try and things are difficult and hard and take time, but being perseverant for me has been a big learning. Being perseverant, learning to trust myself and to be very confident in myself, in my, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And Partik?
So few of the valuable things which I have learned is to be patient and be positive when we are doing our work at CCSAI, when we are advocating for students, because sometimes the processes which we go through, it takes a long time. And like if we want to help our students with deferring the program or something, like recently as well, in January, we had many students who were facing problems with deferring their programs. And at CCSA, all the board members, they advocated for that. And the process was so long. And but we need to be hopeful so that in future, the students, they don't face the same problem. So the key thing is to be positive and be hopeful that we are creating policies and procedures for a better future.
Thank you very much. So our next question is, we'll start with Partik, but how will you advocate for students who are both comfortable returning to campus next year due to the pandemic and those who aren't next fall?
I think we need to take a hybrid approach now, because 2 years is a long time, and now many students, they have like two perspective. We have one side, those students, they want to come back to college and they want hands-on experience, but the other side, they have found a positive approach in the pandemic and online system which we have. Right now we have many students which are studying from like different states like Alberta, or maybe in different countries like India, China, somewhere else, and they are still pursuing their goals and career at Centennial College. So we need a hybrid approach so that we are like delivering on the needs of the students and not fixed on like we will only have the in person. So we need a dual approach, like a hybrid approach, so we are serving to both the student needs.
Thank you. And Cindy?
Yes, I would say definitely catering to the interests of our students. We would need to have, I would say, a big survey to learn about what they are expecting before coming into campus next semester, and to ask about what they want. And once we have this data, and once along with the data that we already have been working on, that we know that students are looking for a hybrid process, we should be able to cater to each other's needs, because we have lots of students that really want to be in person, that want to network, want to meet people in person in real life, and others are like, okay, no, I don't think this is safe for me now, so let's just be patient with them as well, and everyone should be able to have whatever it is that they are asking for. That's our job at CCSAI, catering at our students' needs.
Thank you. And Tima?
Last semester, the Colts Department, the Center of Teaching and Learning, ran a pilot program where they had maybe 8 or a handful of courses that were offered high flex. And high flex means that students can come to class if they choose to, or they can stay online if they choose to. And some of the experienced Centennial programs like Toastmasters, Leadership Cafe have also tried that model. And I think that that's the most flexible model, where it gives students that flexibility. For students who find it a barrier to come onto campus, would be able to access their courses online, and those who are interested in all of the opportunities that come from being on campus would be able to be on campus. So I think what we can do is partner with the departments that have already been providing these types of programs in the last semester and find out what works for them and what doesn't work for them, and then hear from the students' perspective on what that participation felt like and what we can advocate for to get more of that flexibility in the way that Centennial offers its programs to students.
Thank you. All right, our next question, we'll start with Tima. Please define the corporate structure of the CCSAI.
CCSAI is a nonprofit organization. In the middle, we have the CEO. Under the CEO, we have the staff of CCSAI, and above CEO, we have the board of directors. So board of directors give the direction to the CEO, and the CEO gives the directions to the staff. But above the board of directors, we have the students, and the board is accountable to students and takes direction from students. I think that at CCSAI, we can do more to establish that relationship of having students as our owners, not only as our customers, but as a nonprofit organization that is officially representing the students of Centennial College. That's what our structure looks like.
Thank you. Cindy?
Sorry, did I hear my name?
Yes. Did you hear the question?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Could you please define the corporate structure of CCSAI?
Yes. So we have the CEO that helps us look after everything that is logistical. All the processes, all the staff are under the leadership of the CEO. And the board is above the CEO, but the board as a whole. No independent person can talk to the CEO and say, oh, you have to do this. No, the board acts through policies, and the policies work to determine what does the CEO have to do and how does the CEO have to manage the association through the systems that we have and giving directions to our staff. So we have the staff, the CEO, the board as a whole, and above the board, we have the students as a whole. So the students at large are the owners of CCSAI, and we, the board, together, all the VPs and the president work together to look after the needs of all our students.
Thank you. That's your time. Kartik?
So we have a well-defined structure. So on top we have the students, and so the after the students we have the board of directors, and the board of directors, they get all they like contact with the students, and they advocate for the students' need, and then as a collective board they will give directions to the CEO, and we have motions in the full board meetings. So if we want to pass a scholarship for $2,000, so we will have a motion on this as a collective board, and if we got the approval, then the CEO and the CEO will manage all the things with the staff. So we have students on top, then board of directors, CEO, and the staff member.
Thank you. All right. That's 3. Okay, so we will start with you, Partik, for this question. If Centennial continues to use a blended learning model, how would you work to increase engagement among students in CCSAI activities, both online and in person?
I believe that online, in person is both, like both of these things are important, and we should have both events, not just focus on one event. And in online, we have many different options now. We have the Gather Town, which is a very fun platform to engage with students. We can communicate with all different students, and we have they can talk privately as well. So if they come together and they can play games. And for in-person events, I feel we need to have a huge welcome for our students. And in my first year as well, we have already allocated more than $100,000 to this welcoming program. So I'm really hopeful that we will cater to all the needs for our students.
Thank you. Tima?
CCSAI does two things for students. We provide services to students, but we also do advocacy. And I think that depending on what we're doing for the student, it's going to be different on how we approach them. In terms of the services, I think that we can also provide services through a blended model. Through the last 2 years, we already have experience now on how we can provide our services online. And before that, we did a great job in providing them in person. So the challenge now would be to provide both of them together, but there are a lot of resources by the college and through our experiences that we can rely on. And in terms of advocacy, I think it would be to approach students where they are. And one of the things that we learned in our very recent survey is that students want more academic supports or more connection to their academic wellness that we have through CCSAI. If we can develop that connection, then we can come onto platforms like Centennial, where all students are, regardless of whether they're studying online or they're studying in person.
Thank you. And Cindy.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. So the question was, with the current blending, if Centennial is to keep their blended learning model, how would you work to increase engagement among students in CCSA activities, both online and in person?
Did you say blended?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, definitely. I would say, first of all, decentralizing the services and decentralizing the events and making them more accessible to everyone, because everything is very based on progress. Even the events before was like very based on progress. And I believe that students, we are 5 campuses, and we are looking for also having those opportunities to have events, to have services at our disposition. And that will be my first action, to really decentralize all of this, to give more opportunity so that students have this at their hands. And definitely look for a hybrid model, give the students, I repeat again, what they want, whatever. If they want online, then we'll give them online. If they want hybrid, they want in person, then we'll be able to also provide that within the parameters that the government is giving us. There are other spaces that are opening up in person. So why not? We can follow the same procedures to give these safe spaces for students to be able to gather or do whatever they like for networking. Yeah, and definitely I would say that this would be very, very important for students to have more opportunities for networking, because that's something that I have seen that students are needing a lot, and that's why we pay our fees, to have this contact to other programs, to be able to create good relationships and maybe opportunities for the future.
Thank you. Next question. Name an example of a time where you worked with college administration to make positive change during your tenure as a VP. So we'll start with you, Cindy.
Yes, definitely. I would say the situation I mentioned before for the deferral campaign that the students in India were very, very passionate about, and it was about students in different countries. But we were very concerned about how, in which ways we could assist our students to give them more time to be able to register and to be able to withdraw from their programs, because they weren't having their visas approved on time because of COVID, and everything is being slower right now in the systems. So we worked together, the different VPs, we worked together with the president as well. First of all, getting all the information from the students, learning about what was happening, and really trying to direct all their messages and their needs to the appropriate departments. So we spoke to international education, and we spoke to our president, and we spoke to I sent a message to our CEO to make the changes happen faster, because if the CEO, yeah, and it happened. We made it happen.
Ima?
There are lots of examples. One that personally made me very happy was a resource for students with disabilities. So students who come to Centennial who want to get a psychoeducational assessment, which would be an assessment for a learning disability or ADHD or being on the autism spectrum. So for those students, they their options are to get a bursary if they're domestic, but if they're international, then they don't have any options. And these types of assessments could cost up to $5,000 if they're going to a community resource to get these assessments. And these assessments are really important for students in order to be able to, for them to understand their disabilities or to understand what challenges that they have, and in order to get more resources from the college being on that disability status. So for students who were not able to get that assessment, this was a huge barrier, just not having that assessment. After advocating with the college, what they decided, they have one on-site psychologist who works with the counselors, and now they're splitting the work between that one person and the counselor so that more students can get their assessments through Centennial. And that way, domestic students and international students both, once they're recommended by a counselor to get an assessment, don't have to pay anything and can get their assessment done and can be on that disability status so they can make use of all of the different resources that are available to students with disabilities.
Thank you. Partik?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Name an example of a time you worked with college administration to make positive change during your tenure as VP.
So recently, I was talked with the college regarding the Morningside stairs. We have like a table tennis board there, but according to the Ontario Building Code, we can't have anything blocking the exit stairwells because it's a fire hazard. So I reached out to the college facilities, and we relocated the table tennis from the stairs because it's a fire hazard and it can affect our students and staff as well in case of an emergency. And there are various advocacy topics which I touched upon as well. Like every semester, the students, they face problems with paying their fee, and the like response from the college is not clear, like when the deadline to pay the tuition fee is something, and but the students, they get confused. So we have advocated on that as well.
Thank you. All right, let's do our next question. So we'll start with you, Partik. What will you do to help create more job opportunities for students on campus?
So we need to collaborate with the college as well. So we can collaborate with the college library and fund the peer tutoring program so that they can hire more tutors, because only during the pandemic, the funding for hiring the peer tutors, it was decreased. And now we have only, like for my program as well, we only have one peer tutor. So if CCSAI can fund these programs, so we can create more job opportunities for the students, and we can give back to the students as like we are representing the students. Another thing can be creating more part-time job opportunities within the CCSAI. Currently, we only have 2 student advocates, so we can increase the number of student advocates and more representation for the students, and we can make more job opportunities in this space.
Thank you. Tima?
We're actually in a really good place now because we just completed our strategic plan and are working on creating our organizational plan with an HR consultant. And part of our area of focus was to create more opportunities for students. So this year, all of the work that the board has done and all of the work from the organization is creating those opportunities. We already had that goal going. So creating those job opportunities was not going to be a very small thing to do. It required lots and lots of steps before it can be done, and those steps are taking place already. So whoever the next president is, they would just need to continue all of those steps that are already in place.
Thank you. Cindy?
Yes, I would say definitely offering more spaces for students to be able to be active. Within the idea of the food bank, if this comes to life in the way that I am pursuing it, if they go with this idea, I've been thinking that there's an issue that people say, oh, we don't have enough staff to be able to take care of this. So why not opening setting up spaces for students to gather the food and sort the food and help students, because we will need hands. We will need a lot of hands to be able to help as much students as we are, well, as the vision is, and this is also something that the CCSAI has into consideration. So I would say that, and I would also say working along with other spaces where does Centennial College need assistance. For example, our student success advisors, we have a very low number of success advisors, and the students are not getting the responses in a very prompt manner. So maybe, giving them maybe student help as
well. Here's our next question. So we'll start with you, Cindy. What will you do to help support international students in terms of finance, since they cannot get OSIP or most grants and bursaries?
Yeah, this is something that happened to me as well. I tried applying to many different bursaries and it never happened, so I just gave up. And I've heard the same situation with others international students. So I would really, I am very passionate about this, because when I came to Canada, the thing that saved me the first year, because I wasn't able to get a job back then during my first year, I was able to access a food bank, and I really am so grateful for this service, and it really made a difference in my life. So if we can expand this service to all the colleges that we have, we are going to make a difference in students' lives. And I can see it now, because this is something that I advocate and share the word a lot about, because of the high impact it had on me, and I can see the high impact that it has on other students. And just having food security can help you and can help us really be there for our studies. And we have water, we have food, then we can move on for our study.
Thank you. Tima?
CCSAI is providing a number of scholarships, and in one of our board meetings a couple of months ago, we took a look at the numbers, and we have scholarships that come from investments that have been going for a very long time, that are accumulating interest and are continuing to grow. So in the next couple of years, we're actually going to see the amount that we have for domestic scholarships and the amount that we have for international scholarships actually become 50-50. And I'm really excited for that time when we're able to provide the same amount of financial aid to our international student as our domestic student. And the board in that time will actually have to make a decision on whether they want to continue investing in those international scholarships, since international students are paying more fees. And in terms of our scholarships right now, all of CCSAI scholarships are only available to second semester students, but I think that we need to start focusing on first semester students as well. That's when students are coming in and they don't currently have a job, but usually in the second semester, they might have had something settled. So I want the funds that we have that are accumulating interest and are becoming bigger for scholarships. We need to continue that.
Thank you. Pratik?
Yeah, being an international student, I know the struggle to pay the fee. Like we have almost like more than 3 times the fee compared to the domestic students. So like on like college level, we need to make more scholarship and bursaries for the international students. And on the federal level, we need to communicate with the MPs, and like recently as well, like for the past many years, we are communicating with the MPs, but like I feel like all the colleges together in whole Ontario and other states as well, they need to make more pressure on the MPs so that they take a decision, so that they can't increase the fee more, because right now it's almost more than 3 times, and if it goes way more up, it will be like difficult for students to pay the fee. And many students, they are doing more than 2-3 jobs to pay the tuition fee, and we need to focus on this.
Thank you. Okay. So we'll start with Partik, and I realized the order got messed up there a little bit. So my apologies on that. But we'll go back to the order we're doing it first with the presidents. So we'll go Partik, Cindy, and then Tima. So this question is, what is a moment as VP where you struggled, and how would you help a new VP through that problem as president?
So one of the struggles which I had was like I am an introverted person, so the communication part is very like lacking for me. Like when I was back in India as well, I always wanted to be in a leadership role, but I never stepped up. But when I came to Canada, I like made some changes in my personality. I started talking to more people and be more engaged in the community. And I will just say to the new VP that they need to ask more questions, because if you ask questions, then you are engaging and you will get the answers back, and this is the like perfect opportunity to learn and grow more.
Thank you.
Yes. First of all, understanding the system that we are working on, it's very hard and it's little accessible to students that come from other countries. Because in my case, for example, I never learned about a student government before, and I never learned how to navigate these systems, and it's been very hard and it's hard to understand. So I think for VPs it's super important to give them the education that they need, and every system that we are working on just make the information accessible and easy to understand. So that would be one thing. And it asks me to be there for long hours, and then on top of that is the job. So being able to be as a kind leader that really understands the needs and where the students are coming from is super important as well. We have an incredible president that's always been there for us and supports us, and the CCSAI is very flexible into our schedules as well. And another thing, support, emotional support, it's a lot. We are already doing so much for our school, and so being there for our VPs as well emotionally.
Thank you. And Tima?
For me, I really like structure, and I think that having some type of structure or having some type of goal really helps me to be more productive and to accomplish things. And coming into this position, I felt like I didn't know a lot about, even with all of the research I did, I still didn't know really what the role entails. But over the year, we've done really well with creating job descriptions and creating more structure and creating a vision for CCSAI. I think all of that is going to be really beneficial for the next board and the next VPs in understanding really what their roles are, what their responsibilities are, and what as an organization we're trying to accomplish. And the second would be to connect to resources and to people who are already at the college. Over the year, I had an opportunity to increase the number of relationships I have with the important people at the college, and connecting the VPs to those people who can support them with those services or who can provide them with resources, I think is going to be really important for future VPs.
Thank you. Okay. So we will start with Tima. What are the qualities that make a strong president?
I believe in order to challenge a system or to change a system, you need to really understand that system. And I think that that's where my strengths are. I'm not an Instagram influencer. I think I'm more of a educational YouTuber where I really take the time to understand things. For a president, I think that they would need to be a person who is able to see a bigger picture, to understand what the challenges are that students are facing, understand what barriers there might be in the system or at Centennial that need to be challenged, and what types of advocacy has already been done or tried and didn't work or did work, and to learn from that. So for a future president, I would want them to be a person who is able to look at not just the things that are happening at Centennial, but also what are the things that are happening around Centennial that puts limitations on Centennial and that impact students at Centennial.
Thank you. Cindy?
Yes. One of the things I would say, lots of compassion, to be able to understand our student body and to be able to really understand the diversity that we have in our college, because we cannot work just for one sector. We have to work for everyone, and we really do need to be close to our students and to create these relationships of trust so that we're approachable. I think the president has to be approachable, has to be there for students, and not seem like a person that it's really, really far to reach, but someone that you can come up to and just talk about what you need, and then the president would also have to have great communication skills and great negotiation skills so that you can create even better relationships within the Centennial College, and as well a global perspective so that you can make these relationships outside of the college and with different institutions and stakeholders so that we can work all together as a system that helps our students.
Thank you. Partik?
So as a president, you are a kind of mentor to the upcoming vice presidents, and you need to like tell them all the procedures which have been done in the past. So like this year, the new vice president, they didn't know anything about the transform project which was done like previously by the board. So the president has the responsibility to communicate all the past things which were done in the term, and it is very important to like communicate this well and be very articulate about this, because there can't be any confusion regarding making the decision, because the decision which we make will affect the students at large. So we need to be well informed while making the decisions, and we need to be like a team, like all the board of directors, they need to be well informed regarding all the processes which we are doing.
I'm muted, sorry. We'll start with you again, Partik. How would you make sure that you're keeping in mind the needs of all students and not just the ones of the campus that you're currently serving?
So one of the tools which we can use is to do surveys, and the other thing is to go on campus and talk with the students. Like the in-person communication, like one-on-one communication is very important so that we know what is the real problem on ground. So like many students, they like they don't have much time to do the surveys, because if they get more and more emails from the same person, then they will feel like they will skip the email, and like it can happen to like any student, because if you are getting the same email from the college as well regarding a survey, they will just skip it. So like in person and like talking to them one on one is very important.
Cindy?
Can you repeat the question? Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. How would you make sure you're keeping the needs of all students in mind and not just those of the ones on the campus you're currently serving?
I think it's super important to look at the surveys that we have already had in the college and develop more surveys as well to see where are our communities, which is the percentage of the communities that we have. And in order to do that, I want to suggest students as a vehicle to deliver these surveys. So like Partik was saying, you receive a corporate email and it's like, oh, another corporate email, why would I listen to this? But if it comes from a person that is close to you, then you have that trust and you will develop this. And also looking this, and I would like to suggest to have a multicultural advising council, that we are already looking to have a more multiculturally diverse advising council at the board to be represented. But I think there's so much more, and we can reach to all these communities more specifically through our student leaders. So having one representative that comes from the different communities, I think that will be very, very important. And also the president has to be approachable. All the VPs have to be approachable as well.
Tima?
So historically, CCSAI has been kind of progress focused. Progress is the biggest campus. That's where we have like our main offices. And in the past, especially when services were in person, a lot of progress students felt like they were very well served, but students from other campuses felt like that wasn't the same case. So I think that over the year, now that services were online, it helped a lot of students. Sometimes students come and they graduate from Centennial and they don't even know what campus that they were associated with. And I think what it created was this sense of unity and this equity between different campuses. I think what we need to do is to continue that, to continue having our services that are services that are accessible to students from all different campuses. As a president specifically, I think it would be important to create channels of communication that would be offered specifically to campuses that have a harder time reaching levels of authority or reaching services. So one way to do that would be to connect with program coordinators or program chairs to pass that information to students.
Very much. Okay. Got two more questions for this segment. So we'll start with you, Tima. All board members of the CCSAI are given lots of training during the transition process every year. What is an area you think board members could use more training on in the future that isn't currently being touched on?
Something I felt that we didn't have enough training on was on government advocacy. And I talked to SEER, the Strategic Initiative and External Relations Department at Centennial, and they already have these resources. They already have resources on who the elected and appointed officials are representing the ridings that each campus is in. And I asked them if they would be willing to share those resources for the next year's board for their training. So I think by creating those types of relationships, we'll be able to use the expertise that already exists at Centennial to train our board members in being able to advocate, not just at the Centennial level, but being able to advocate at a bigger provincial and federal level. And those resources are going to be very specific to campuses. So it would be very, very relatable to the vice presidents who are coming from those campuses.
Thank you. Cindy?
Yes, my internet is not the best right now. Please, can you repeat the question?
No worries. So the question was, all CCSA board members are given lots of training during the transition process. What is an area you think board members could use more training on in the future?
I would say the elections policy, the elections process. There is a lot of training that's coming up for sure, and it's great what we're doing. But in order to make this position of president more accessible to different people and to a more multiculturally diverse population, we need to make the system easier to understand, to really give them the tools to know what a campaign is, how to navigate the system, how to say things, how to not say things, when to say things, when not to say things. It's difficult. Sometimes policies are very hard to understand, especially for international students. So I would say having that training in really understanding how the system works when they come in would be very beneficial for them to be able to feel more confident in coming forward and maybe applying for this wonderful position of president and not making the system so harder than it already is.
Thank you. Partik?
Yeah, I feel like giving trainings to the board members regarding like how to communicate and do the advocacy on the federal level is very important, because if you are meeting with an MP for the first time, it can be very frightening. Like like it can be like very chilling to speak to like, because they have a role and they have a federal position. So like giving training to the board members on this topic is very important. And like because we are, as an organization, we need to represent the students at large. So the only thing which we are lacking is to be more active in like governance on the federal level. So that's most important.
Okay, and then for our final question here, what is an area of personal growth you want to work on as president? And we'll start with you, Partik.
I feel like a person can grow like more anytime, because like you can learn many things with like time. And I feel like I can improve in a lot of things, and there are many experienced person at Centennial College as well as within CCSA. They have like more than 30-year experience. So I want to learn from them and grow as a person, and I want to use these skills in my current role as well, and as well as if I'm elected as.
Thank you. Cindy?
Definitely, I would say, as an international student that has been here for less than 3 years, I think I've accomplished many things. And just being able to have the opportunity to be standing among these amazing people, it's a great accomplishment for me. But I would say that an area of growth would be understanding the Canadian system better, definitely. Trying to get more involved, like 2.5 years not being there all the time because I'm really concerned about school. How am I going to understand everything that's happening at the federal level? For example, I just learned about this during this period as VP. So I would say that that would be a very like an important thing that I would have to get my hands on. But full time being a president, you have all the experience, all the contacts, and all the information at your disposal. And I am incredibly research focused and knowledge focused. So I would use all these tools to really improve this weakness. I would say this is something that I think I would be able to improve with all the resources that CCSAI can.
And Tima?
One of the trainings that I am hopefully looking forward to if I do get the position is more on the finances of how CCSAI works. Over the course of our term, there's been lots of meetings where we were presented with financial sheets and we made lots of decisions. And I asked lots of questions, and our HR department is really, really great at answering, our our HR people are really good at answering those questions and being able to give more context behind what the numbers say. I think I want even more training on exactly how our financial audits work, what kinds of things we should be looking out for, what kinds of things we should consider when we're making decisions regarding these very large sums of money. As a student, as a one individual, you just don't have experience in dealing with that large amount of sums. So having more training on that is something that I'm looking forward to.
Thank you very much. Let's go off. Cool. So thank you all for answering those questions. Presidential candidates, I appreciate it a lot. We will now move over to the Q&A segment from the audience here. So if you have any more questions, audience members, feel free to put those in the Q&A section, and I will try to get to them. There's a number of questions that have so far been asked that are somewhat similar, so I will be combining a few of them. But yeah, we'll get right into it. So let me just randomize the order. A lot of these will be for all of you. Awesome. Okay, so our order for this will be Partik, Tima, Mark, Jagtar, and then Cindy. And there's a few questions here too that are just directed towards one candidate or different groups of candidates. So I'll let you know in advance for those. To start, could each candidate please explain the position that they are running for? So could you please explain what the actual role in your understanding is of president or vice president? And we'll start with Partik.
So as the president, you are, like, as I said, you are as a mentor to the upcoming vice president, because when you are the board of directors, everyone has the same vote. So the president as well as the vice president, the value of the vote is one. So everyone is on equal grounds in terms of the vote. But you have more experience as compared to the upcoming president. So you need to be like, you need to inform them and mentor them, like how this position work for a few months. And when they are experienced, then you have the like, you are like as a collective board. And the other responsibility with the what the president has is to do the evaluation of the CEO and be like do the evaluation of the CEO, as well as like we have the evaluation of the vice president as well. So the vice president evaluation is done within the board itself, and the president needs to be approachable to the students and do the class visits as well as do the governance work.
It's your time. Thank you. Okay, Tima.
So over the year, we developed job descriptions for both the vice presidents and the presidents, and they're very robust now. So there are 6 areas that a president is responsible for, and I think I can only remember 5 of them. There's governance, advocacy, student engagement, finances, and 2 others. So governance is making decisions to run the board and having more of a role in the strategic management, in the strategic planning of the organization, giving those directions to the CEO, or working with the board to give those directions to the CEO, and further passing those directions will be passed on. And in advocacy, it would be to advocate with the college, advocate along with the board to the college on issues for students, and to advocate on external levels as well, provincially and federally. Finances, the part that I was mentioning about before that I want to really learn, and the president, it does sign off all of the checks that are passed through CCSAI, and they are responsible for financial management.
Mark?
I think the VP position for me is mainly an advocacy role. I'm here to work for the students. I'm not really working for anyone else. Whatever the students need, that's what they're gonna get. To be honest, I'm not really sure what else it entails, but I'm just trying to wing it. I'll just try to do my best, see what needs to be done. Whatever needs to be done, I'm gonna do it for the students.
Thank you. Jagtar?
The role of vice president is basically to smoothen the process of CCSAI, and it is a really very important role in CCSAI. And in turn, the responsibility of CCSAI is to look after students and to make their time the best in their college life. So the role of VP is just this: smoothen the functioning of CCSAI. That's it.
Thank you. And then Cindy.
Yes, I feel like we're just gonna be like a group just adding on the things, so I'm just gonna be a little bit repetitive with Tima's answer. Definitely the president has to do advocacy, it has to do governance, it has to look after the finances, it has to be a leader for our VPs, it has to do engagement with the students, and it has to do, I don't remember the other one, so maybe Prati can help us there. But yeah, definitely. So advocacy, advocating for the student needs, engagement with students, just being there for them, and leadership, being a mentor to our other VPs, looking after the finances, and really trying to stay on top of things, that so that CCSAI maintains a good financial report and balance. That's very important. And I don't know if I'm missing another one. Now, governance, looking after the policies and trying to ensure that they are followed as well, understood, and trying to work along with the CEO so that these policies are taken into effect.
Okay. For our next question, we'll go with this one. Okay. So one of the audience members is a little bit concerned about how Centennial is currently disguising some things on their website and just having a little bit of a lack of transparency with different fees. How would you ensure that all things that the CCSAI is doing, and yeah, everything you're doing in your role, is transparent? Jector, do you have a question?
Yes. First of all, thank you so much, Devashish, to put forward this point. Actually, I would like to acquaint the board of directors, all the members, panelists here, about one thing, that all the students, those who are enrolled in the financial planning sector, they have to do extra certification apart from their studies. One is called SIFP and one is SCSE. So basically they have to put more $1,200 in order to get that certification done. And that fees is not at all listed on our Centennial website. So being the part of CCSAI, we'll have to look after this, we can say, situation, and so that the students, those who are enrolled in financial planning, are not suffering. So thank you so much, Devashish, for reaching out to CCSAI regarding this problem.
All right, that counted as your answer for this question. But we will go to Cindy. How will you make sure, I'll reiterate the question just to do that, but how will you ensure that the CCSAI is transparent with all fees and operations?
Yes, I would like to say working along with the college to really have a deep understanding and approaching our program coordinators and deans so that they let us know exactly what are all the fees required and that these fees are transparent and are of knowledge of students. So we do need to have these all of this. I think it's outrageous that we come into something and we don't really know exactly what we are going to be asked for. So really having a specific understanding, working as a team and going deep into what is it, asking the questions and putting a little bit of pressure so that they give us the answers, and then trying to work with them during a period of time so that they can have everything that they are asking for the students to deliver in terms of fees at a certain date in their website. And there are no things that are just not unsure of.
Thank you. So Jagtar already answered. So we'll go to Mark.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware about this until now. This kind of is a little bit reminiscent of like almost like a bait and switch, which like shady car dealerships use. I really don't like this. It should be a lot more transparent and open about this. That's something as simple as posting something on the website. Whoever the person is in charge of running the website or whatever it is, talk to that person and make sure that it's explicitly stated there. It's very simple.
Thank you. And then Tima.
I'm a little too excited to answer this question because I just released a video today on YouTube to talk all about fees and the different things that are covered in fees and why some students might see a different number in their actual fee statement and in the estimate that's shown on the website on the official Centennial page. So if students do have questions, they can reference to that video. And I think there was a second part of that question as well to ask, how can CCSAI be more transparent on through our processes? Is that a question we're answering right now, or?
Yes.
I think that CCSAI does a lot of work behind the scenes in terms of advocacy, and we need to have a formal way of being able to share that with our students. And by providing that types of open space, it's going to be easier for students to connect. One of the things that we started again was to create our form so that students can come to our board meetings even without so before we didn't have a way for students to come and attend our board meetings, but now we have that form live again, so students can be part and hear what we're doing.
Thank you, Tima. And then Partik.
So CCSA is very much transparent, like as Tima also mentioned, we like every student, they can attend our full board meetings. They just need to request to have an attendance, and our minutes are also published online, and any student, they can see what we are voting on and they can see what was the motion as well. But in terms of college, I feel like we need to do more advocacy and governance work in terms of that, because many students, they like every semester they face a problem with the deadline to pay the tuition fee, and on the website the college announces some different deadline, but according to the college, they can also submit it later on, but they don't share the resources which the students required to like go through this process. So I feel like there should be more transparency, and we need to work on this.
Very much. All right. We'll go to our next question. How can the CCSAI help first-year students, and what are some ideas you have to help introduce them to college life for the first time? And we'll start with Partik.
I feel like the first year for a student is very special, and we need to make a positive impact on the students so that they can focus on their study as well as they are engaged in the community. So one of the thing is to welcome them like in the orientation, and we can tell them about the services which we have, so that they are well informed about their rights at college and all the services that we provide. Like there are many services which we offer at CCSA as well. Like if they need to search for a housing, we have this service. If they want to defer, like if they want to notarize their documents from a lawyer, they have this service. So the engagement piece is very important, and we need to inform the students regarding all the services. So that's
Thank you. And then, sorry, Tima?
So in connecting with, is the question, how do we connect with first semester students, or how do we serve first semester students?
Sorry, how can you help incoming first year students to adjust to college life?
I heard from a lot of first semester students that there is nothing happening at the college, and I think that that's a misunderstanding. But there is an issue there, and there's a potential there for us to step in and to bridge that gap. There is a lot that's happening at Centennial, even just online. There are conferences, there are workshops, there are clubs from CCSAI, there are clubs from Centennial. There are lots of opportunities for students to engage professionally and students to engage casually. But a lot of first semester students don't know about how they can connect with those resources. Some of the platforms that Centennial uses might be MS Teams, might be the Experience Centennial app, which is going to be shut down after this semester. But those platforms allow students to connect to opportunities. Students don't know that they have access to those platforms, or how to use those platforms to connect to opportunities and to connect to events and communities that could enrich their college life. So providing students a way to connect to those platforms.
Thank you. And then Mark?
It's kind of like that thing, if a tree falls in a forest and nobody's around to hear it, I don't know, whatever that saying is, it's pretty much like that. We probably do have programs or stuff going on, but it's our job as leaders and advocates to get off our rears and go out and engage with these students and actually show them that, hey, we have this going on. Right now, people are using COVID as an excuse. We don't have to physically go out to them because of restrictions or whatnot, but send emails, do whatever, go on MS Teams or however you do it online. I'm not really an online person. I like doing it old school and reaching out to people in person, but I'm gonna have to adjust to that and see how I can do it online.
Thank you. Jagtar?
Yes, as I have discussed in the previous questions as well, what we can do is we can talk to the faculty so that we can have more number of students engaging with the CCSAI. CCSAI is already doing a great work in engaging the students with the clubs we have, with all the advocacy thing we do, with all the legal services that the CCSAI offer. The number one problem that we have is students are not aware of the things that we are offering. So that's the reason what we can do is we can talk to the faculty if they can talk about CCSAI and its offerings to the semester one students, because they are new. They do not know any of the things, what college is all about and what all the facilities college provides. So this can be done to increase the engagement with the first year students, and especially with the students, those who are coming in semester one. That's it.
Thank you. And Cindy?
Yes, and I will ask you for the question again, please.
Yes. How will you help to ensure that incoming first year students are given a way to properly engage and experience college life?
Yes, I would say right now everything is online, and it is hard sometimes for students to attend to online sessions because most of the time Centennial College events and conferences and everything and CCSAI are happening during when they have school. So how are we making services accessible for them? Even if we want to attend, we cannot attend because we have school. And the first thing that we are worried about is to comply with our with our educational purposes. So maybe creating a system that's more accessible for them to access to these events and resources after school would be a really good place to start. I've been advocating for this a lot, speaking on this. Another thing I would say, getting our program coordinators them know about the services that we offer as well. Within CCSAI, I would say first, I have a lot of students that come to me and are like, I wouldn't have known CCSAI if I hadn't met you. So I would say that just having our student leaders and the president and the VPs and everyone trying to reach out. Oh,
I'm sorry.
Is that my time?
That's right. Right. Yeah, I forgot to unmute when it was going. Thank you. Okay. This is a question. So for this question, one of the audience members has struggled in the past to find places to sit and eat during lunch. And I imagine other students have had trouble to find places to study or just kind of hang out on campus. How would you work to provide students with more facilities and spaces to enjoy campus in between their classes? And we'll start with Cindy.
Yes, this I think a hard question, and thank you for your question. I am not aware of all the needs and the spaces that we have at all our colleges because I haven't had the opportunity to go visit them. But I would say opening up, this is a good question. It's making me think. I believe that due to COVID-19 restrictions is that we are having a harder time to find our spaces. How are we, if we are encountering, I would say, report this situation to your specific campus VP, and then this need would be addressed. If we need to bring in extra chairs or extra tables, maybe I think it is possible, we can make it happen, but you need to report the situation to your VP so that we are aware of what's happening and where specifically it's happening, right? So letting us know about the need, and then from us knowing the need, we would be able to address it in the best way possible within the things that are available to us.
Thank you. Jagdar?
Yes, first of all, we are really very sorry that this student has faced this problem. The thing is, I have recently visited the student center in the Progress campus, and we do have many of the sitting arrangement there for the students as well. So just because of the COVID, that place is temporarily closed. So we are just hoping that once the post-pandemic, we open this thing and where students can have lunch and have the sitting area and can play with their mates as well.
Mark?
Some of you might be familiar with the engineers like to use the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. If you need chairs, we'll get you chairs. It's pretty simple. If you guys need more tables, let us know. We'll get you more tables. That's it.
Thank you. Tima?
I think that this question is going to need a little bit more of insight into the situation, considering that the COVID restrictions are constantly changing in terms of what capacity is allowed on campus and how many students have classes on campus. The situation of space versus how many people there are who can use that space is going to constantly keep changing until we get into some type of equilibrium. So over the next year, it's going to be important to keep a really good tab on the different campuses and what types of spaces are being used and what types of space needs exist with the student community, and then to be able to communicate that with the college in terms of them being able to provide those services to students who need it. We're also constantly fighting to keep our CCSAI spaces within Centennial colleges. At Progress, we have our own building for CCSAI, but in other campuses, we have rooms, and it is, there are other departments who might be looking at that space and saying, oh, we could use that space. So space is valuable. Everybody is trying to keep tabs on it. It's going to be important for us to recognize that and to work with it.
Thank you. And Partik?
Yeah, I feel like there's like we need to have a constant observation on the limit of people that we have, because of the COVID restrictions, it can limit the amount of people that we can have in a particular space. But if this question was intended before the COVID pandemic era, then I will feel like we need to advocate on this, and maybe in future the college, they can convert the existing classroom into a sitting place, so that we have more sitting place for the students and the engagement place for the students which we have.
Thank you. Okay, we're almost at the end here. Thank you, everyone, for everything so far. How would you plan to work with community members in a respectful way, including just administration, other student leaders? How would you make sure that you're being respectful at all times? And we'll start with Partik.
I feel like as a board member, we have many trainings, so that is very helpful to learn the different perspective of different communities and be inclusive to all the communities. So I feel like the trainings which we have, it's really helpful for this role. And as well as like we need to be respectful in a way, and when we are attending meeting, we have a Robert's rule, so everyone will go through the chair and we are not directed to the person. So in a way, like when we are attending the meetings, it is chaired by a person, and we need to be respectful and be like genuine to everyone.
Thank you. Tima?
The question on how to be respectful. I think it's a challenge when we're working in a community that's so diverse. There are different values, there are different backgrounds that people are coming with, and as a student leader, it's our job to be able to create inclusive and safe environments. And sometimes it's really difficult when there are people with different opinions in those environments. So there's a delicate balance between allowing students to have the opportunity to voice their concerns, allowing students to have the opportunity to share what their ideas and beliefs are, but also protecting the space for other students who might feel that they might be attacked by those same ideas and values. So it's going to be really important to be working with, for example, the GCEI department, to make sure that we as leaders are trained on how to maintain and facilitate safe spaces for students to be able to have opportunities, but also to feel like they are included and not targeted.
And then Mark?
Personally, I like to take the steamroller approach, whereas if you're in the way, you're going to get ran over, or you can either hop on. But I realize that, especially in a role like this, I can't do that. So I'm going to have to do everything that I can, just have a mutual level of respect with everyone, try to find compromises where I can, and try to take a more diplomatic approach.
Jagtar?
I consider that CCSI is so diverse, and as Centennial College as well. So being a part of CCSAI will make sure that each and everyone's voice is heard, irrespective from any country they are coming from or any of the things. So that's the thing. We'll make sure that everyone is feeling included and each and everyone's voice is being heard. And talking about the respectful, it's all about the personality and values and individual is grown up with. So we need to be very respectful for all the community members in the Centennial family.
Thank you. And then Cindy?
Yes, kindness is one of my highest values, definitely. And even when facing difficulties or people doing microaggressions, or people being yelling at me or any kind of violence form, I will always take the high ground, and I will always look after my highest value, which is kindness, and that's not the way that I do things, right? So I will go for that always. And when developing relationships with students, we do have to be very compassionate and listen to them. I think listening, and I like your quote, Mark, with 2 ears, you need to listen a little bit more and then speak. I think that's super important for us, especially as leaders that are representing such a diverse community, and really reaching out. I think being close to our students and learning about them, learning how they feel, from being close to them, speaking to them, trying to understand them, it helps us be more empathetic as well.
Cindy. And we have one final opportunity for you all. So if you have any other plans that you haven't been able to touch on so far tonight, or goals with the position, this is kind of your last chance to let everyone know, at least here today. Obviously, you'll be able to still campaign throughout the rest of the campaign period. But if you have any final words you'd like to say about your other plans that you haven't been able to touch on, now would be the time, and we will treat this the same as we've treated every other question. So Cindy, you may start.
Yes, definitely. I would say I want to invite people to come to the upcoming events that I will be having, where I'll be offering meditation and gratitude practice, as an uplifting dance class for students to be able to relax a little bit and create a little bit of networking. It's going to be on my social media, @CindyTzip_. And some of the things that I also want to do is really promote the idea of unity. I think we can all work together to do things better for everyone. And we are not dividing into specific campuses. We all come from the same community, the student community. And I want to make one of my biggest goals to promote this idea of unity, so that we can work together with all our student leaders, with the support of our students, and bring all the campuses together so that no one feels that they are left out. That is one of my main goals, and I hopefully, if I'm elected, I will be able to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Jagtar?
Yes, to be the part of CCI, my goal specifically will be to feel the incoming students that they feel welcomed and embraced in the Centennial family. Besides us, being an aerospace student, I'll make sure that we do have a proper club for aerospace enthusiasts. We do not have any of the clubs at CCSAI. So I will be gathering more of the aerospace enthusiasts into one group, and we'll be making a club so that we can do more of the fun things at college and campus. So, in my final words, I would like to invite all the students to engage with the CCSI clubs and be proactive in their engagement. And to all the candidates, all the very best for the campaigning. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mark?
Mainly, I want to let the students know I mainly work for them, and not everything else is just a byproduct and just a means to an end. So next week, or whenever we come back from reading week, I'm going to make myself available at the school if I can, if you guys allow it or whatever. And then I'm going to jump in random Zoom classes and whatnot, see what the students are saying. I'm not going to lie, I can't promise everything. So I'm just going to do what I can. Car show, see if we can get some barbecues going, and then try to put money, some of the student fees that go unused, just like insurance premiums, to give you a partial refund. I want students to get their money back from that.
Thank you. And then Tima?
There are a lot. So I'm going to pick one. Since this is Black History Month, I want to talk a little bit about what has been happening already at the college and what I hope to be part of going forward. The college had assembled a anti-Black racism task force in the past, and over last year they came together with creating 40 recommendations on what the college and the student association can do specifically to support Black students. And later this month they're going to be releasing a new report where all of those recommendations have been reviewed by students, faculty, and other members in the community to really come down with what specific recommendations should be pressured or should be pursued. So one of the things I want to do is make sure that we as a student association are responding to student needs wherever they are coming from. And this is just one of those things that I want to get involved in.
Thank you. And then lastly, Partik.
So in my role, I want to support all the students and create a better student life experience for them at college, and spread more awareness about the services which we currently have. Like, we have so many amazing services currently, but many students, they are not aware of them. So we need to spread awareness regarding this, and one of the ways is to collaborate with the college and be more like engaged with the student population, and we need to cater to the student needs, and we need to get their feedback and surveys on what events they want, and not just like from ourselves we can host like bingo events, but what if the student is not interested in this particular event? So we need the feedback from the students and what they are interested, so we need to cater to their needs.
Fantastic. Thank you to all of the candidates today. This was really amazing, and it was great to hear from all of you on all of the different issues we tackled today. To everyone in the audience, if you want to know more about any of the candidates, they are in the middle of their campaigns. So you can check out our CCSAI social media accounts, where we have already filmed some Q&As with them, but they're also all posting on their own social media. So you can feel free to follow them there and try to learn more. But yeah, so our elections will be the voting, sorry, for the elections will be happening on the 9th and 10th of March. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be on the website. We've linked to the website that voting will be on in the chat there. So you can save that for March 9th and 10th. But yeah, thank you all for attending. Big round of applause to all of the candidates, virtual applause. But yeah, thank you everybody. This was great. That wraps everything up for us.